Hi, hello again. Today we're going to be putting in what I call a lap zip. And a lap zip is a zip that's just got one fold of material folded over the zip, and the other side of the zip is stitched really close. But you can't see the zip. And what we're going to need is a zipper foot for your machine, because we have to get really close. So this is my zipper foot, or you may have a zipper foot like that. So with these zipper foot, like with my zipper foot for the Bernina, your needle has got to be either to the right or to the left, because when we sew, we're going to sew very close to the zip. Or with you may have a zipper foot like this, which you may either need to move the needle or move the zip. So have a look at your sewing machine and look at the instructions for your zipper foot. If your machine didn't come with a zipper foot, you can buy them from Amazon or eBay, or even your local sewing machine shop. Before we get into putting the zip on, I'm just going to tell you some really exciting information. The zip's regarded as a type of fastening, and there's some rules to follow when we're applying fastenings. If we're doing a fastening for a female, it has to go anti-clockwise. So if you've got a female shirt on, your fastening will go right over left. If you're doing a fastening for male or unisex, it goes clockwise. So that means if you have a look at a pair of men's jeans or unisex jeans, the fold always goes left over right. So there are certain things I have to do before I start sewing. So I've put on my zipper foot, but I need to move my needle position either to the left or to the right, because my zipper foot doesn't have a hole in the middle. The first thing I need to do is to mark where my zip stops. So I've marked it there, and the zip stop is where the metal or hardened plastic is, and then sew my seam up to where my zip stop, making sure I go backwards and forwards to strengthen that opening. The seam allowance I have taken is 1.5 centimeters or 5/8 of an inch, and that should be enough to enable my zip to lap over. My garment is now facing me, facing the right side. And remember what I said about woman's garment being done up anti-clockwise. So if I'm doing a lap zip, that means this will be the folded edge, and this will be the edge that's very close to the zip. So I'm going to pin it in place and show you. My seam allowance is 1.5 centimeter, but for this edge I am just going to use 1 centimeter. So that's 1 centimeter all the way down, and I'm going to pin this folded edge very close to the zip and then sew it. And it doesn't matter if because I've taken 1 centimeter, I have a little ledge here, it doesn't really matter that much. So we're going to sew this folded edge very close to the zip teeth. So you have to make sure that your zipper foot is on the right hand side with your needle. So the next thing we're going to do is do the folded edge, the lapped edge. So fold your fabric back 1.5, which should be your seam allowance, and just run your finger down the edge so it gives it a nice fold. And then what you're going to do, you're going to place it on so it covers the zip. And what I've done here is put my two 1.5 marks together, and then I'm going to pin the zip in place. So I have pinned the zip in place very close to my zip teeth. So when I open it here, all you see is the teeth. Make sure you don't see too much tape, or you may not have enough fabric underneath to cover your lap edge of your zip. And make sure you put a pin at the bottom. So this is either where the metal bit ends or before it begins. So either way, go below the metal zip or above. Go below the metal or above it, but not on the metal stud at the end here. I'm going to stitch this in place, and you can see. To start, I have opened my zip because sometimes when the zip's at the top, it may be a bit bumpy your sewing. So I've opened my zip. I'm going to sew a few centimeters, and then I'm going to close the zip. I've also put my pins so that it's easy to pull out, so that all my pins are facing this direction. If you're not confident with the pins, then you can tack it in place. Tacking is big temporary stitches that you can pull out after. So now I'm going to sew it. I've sewn it down a few centimeters, so now I'm just going to close my zip. So in order to do that, make sure your needle is in your work, lift your foot, and then pull your zipper up to the top. I haven't changed the needle position or the right or left side of the foot. I'm on the same side, but I'm just coming down in a different direction. Remember, on the underneath bit I sewed upwards, so now I'm sewing downwards. And also try to keep the same distance on the folded edge. Right, I have come down to the bottom, and I know there's nothing here. I could feel where the metal is, so now I want to sew across. So keep your needle in your work, lift the foot up and turn it so we can sew across the zip. If I've miscalculated, you will hear it. So I've got to where the seam is, so I'm just going to go backwards and then forwards just to keep the zip firm. Okay, so this is the finished zip, and as you can see, you can't really see the zip unless I open the lap edge. And my stitching is very close to the teeth. That's why we use a zipper foot, so we can get as close as possible. And stitching at the end is secure, so I should be able to open and close my zipper really freely now. Okay, and that's the end of the tutorial for a lapped zip.